The Iran-aligned Houthis, who control much of Yemen, have disrupted world trade for weeks with attacks on ships passing through the al-Mandab strait at the southern end of the Red Sea. The United States shot down 4 drones headed towards a U.S. destroyer in the southern Red Sea and launched from Houthi-controlled areas of Yemen. Meanwhile, Yemen's Houthi rebels have alleged that a missile from a U.S. battleship targeting its naval forces in the Red Sea exploded near a Gabon-owned ship. The Gabon-owned ship was traveling from Russia, a spokesperson of the Houthi movement said. Following this, he warned that the Red Sea will be a burning arena if the U.S. and its allies continue their bullying. Ambassador Bhashwati Mukherjee, former diplomat, is joining us live. We also have Captain Sham Kumar, naval instructor pilot, joining us live. Also with us is Commodore Bhushan Devan, former Navy, I presume former Navy officer. I think we'll have to correct your designation. Welcome all of you and thank you for being with us. Let me begin with you, Ambassador Mukherjee. Ambassador Mukherjee, this is a terse warning being sent out by the Houthis to the world. How seriously should this be taken?
Well, maybe the Houthis should also seriously take the extent of naval power that the Americans have built up. It's a coalition of 24 countries, some of whom have formidable arsenals, nuclear forces, etc. Because what the Houthis are doing is not acceptable. They are trying to disrupt international shipping through a very important part of the ocean. And if the ships get diverted, it will result in global inflation, where those who will be affected will be developing countries and emerging countries the most. Therefore, if the Houthis are doing this as a kind of support to what is happening to the Palestinians, and also they have deep links with the Iranian regime and with Hezbollah, I would say that they would be well advised not to cross too many red lines. Because in that case, yes, the Red Sea may become a source of conflict, but I very much doubt that they would have the staying power to stare down such a formidable naval force for too long a time.
Yes. Also, Ambassador Mukherjee, a quick question also on the reason why you believe this sudden aggressive behavior has been seen in the last few weeks in particular.
The sudden aggressive behavior there has been building up for some time. It is increasingly clear to those who are allied with Iran that the Israelis have now gone to a tipping point in the conflict in the Gaza Strip, where they might perhaps be in a position, there are rumors that they might flood the tunnels in the Gaza Strip with seawater, etc. In other words, that they could actually be in a position to weaken Hamas, not permanently, but for a fairly long period of time. Under those circumstances, strategic thinkers look at what the Houthis are doing as diversionary strategic tactics, as warnings to be conveyed by Israel's main military ally, that's the United States, to go slow, and on the other hand, to give a warning to US that Iran has military allies like Houthis, like Hezbollah, etc., who could be in a position to push the conflict in a different direction in case a ceasefire is not quickly announced. So these are some of the trends, thoughts which are being looked at right now. But as I said, I repeat that the Americans are a formidable military power. They have built up an alliance. These Houthis are attacking ships of different nationalities. There are Indians who have been taken prisoner. It is not acceptable that international shipping lanes should be targeted in this manner, because the ships that they are targeting have not taken any sides this way or the other. In many cases, they are not targeting American ships, they are targeting ships belonging to neutral countries, flying flags of neutral countries. So if they continue in this manner, I would agree with them only on one thing, that yes, there will be conflict in the Red Sea, but I would not put it in such dramatic terms that the Red Sea will be on fire. Not at all. I think that they would be taken down by the formidable forces which have formed an alliance precisely to ensure free shipping in the Red Sea. But in the meantime, we are seeing inflationary trends in international shipping because many shipping companies have either hiked up their insurance or they are taking a different route which is much longer across the Cape of Good Hope, and that's going to obviously delay shipping and also push up shipping prices, which is not good news for the world economy. Uday.
Yes, indeed. Let me, in fact, quickly draw in Captain Shyam Kumar as well now into the conversation. Captain Shyam Kumar, how are you viewing this warning? How should it be taken by the world?
The shadow of Houthis attacking the ships of US Navy as well as the mercantile in the Red Sea and at the Gulf of Aden, even in Arabian Sea, we are seeing the conflict. There is a trend which is developing, which must be kept in mind, that they are trying to say that they are indirectly supporting the Hamas cause, and under the line of axis of Iran support Hezbollah, Hamas, and these Houthis are fighting indirectly for this cause. Now, this is basically drawing the world's attention to the core, because once the 11%, 12% of the flow which is there through the Suez Canal is affected, every country is affected. The food, commodity, the oil pricing, everything is affected. And there is a connection starting from the merchant car carrier when it was hijacked in a military style by the Houthis in Red Sea. Then that also was being traced to the owner from Israel. And the Arabian Sea, which has happened 2 days back off Porbandar coast, though it was not operated, Japanese operated, or it was flagged by some other shippings, the person who was owner of this carrier was also from Israel, Idan Afar. So they are trying to say that actually they are attacking those ships which have some link with Israel. So that is why this is a cause of concern as far as the attacks are concerned. But as far as the defensive forces are concerned, as brought out by the previous panelist, the US under the Operation Prosperity Guardian had started this force. You see, this area has always been under surveillance. Carrier Task Force 150 was established in 1990, and always some military presence of ships have been there. And in 2022 or 20, I think 153 Carrier Task Force has been formed up again with at least Korea or Turkey, USA, UK being there. Now, this extra attacks which we are finding it now needs to be again countered with much more might, and therefore this operation has been started. Although there have been some setbacks recently, as the France, Spain, Italy has probably withdrawn from this force, still it has a presence of about UK and Netherlands and Australia, Japan, South Korea, which are under this one command of US forces, Central Command, and they are this command which is based at that area. There are 2 aircraft carriers which has been placed in a hurry. One was already there in the Mediterranean, and there are much more naval forces in the African coast, Arabian Sea coast, where the ships are on 24 hours notice to reach to the Red Sea. Therefore, if we want to keep this area open, which is important for the world's economy, there has to be a escort force which needs to be escorting these ships safely through the Suez Canal. And there are US warships and other ships which are doing this. Much more to say, it will be very difficult in a war situations like that, where we need to have a protection of escort for all merchant shipping. So I think the suitable situation could be to launch a barrier kind of ships towards the Yemen coast and give a air defense for them when the ships could move. We must remember al-Mandab with just 16 nautical miles, just 30 kilometers in its narrowest channel. It is a funnel choke point, which is very easily targetable. But one thing is very clear. Lobbing missiles on Israel firing some drones like this, hundreds of them by Houthi. As long as they have not caused any damage to anyone, it is fine. And US has been countering them well. But once it damages a ship, it will be really escalating the war and it will get into other regional conflicts. As far as the USA is concerned, it is not attacking the Yemen or Houthis because of certain regions of measured response. Because Iran has not nudged Hezbollah to attack Israel in full force, and it is saying that it is not supporting Houthi. So therefore, even Iran has not direct confrontation with USA, and USA has given the leeway to Iran to say that it is fine. We will not go into the direct confrontation with you. But since it is escalating, it can happen in a very different manner. And last point I'd like to say here is, USA has an option to attack SSM, surface-to-surface missile on Yemen, and it has done in past. It has done past in 1991, where it has blasted off the oil depots of the Yemen, and but it will have a very, very devastating sequences. And special operations by commandos, which are there on board all the ships there, could also get into a situation where there could be further problems. Saudi Arabia connection with present Yemen, etc. There is a trust between them. There are a lot of complexities of international operations in this. Therefore, there is no clear counter offensive posturing by these forces. They are waiting and watching, and we think that it will cool down, because this is going to be a very, very difficult situation in case it escalates. It has happened in Indian context now. People are watching why it happened in Indian context. Again, since it had Israeli connection, so people are looking at that part. But if this kind of devastative surprise attacks by drones, which can be done by any way, anywhere, and difficult to detect, or counter-offensive attacks, which is possible as merchant ships are helpless, warships are very, very capable. So this is a very critical situation, and the world needs to come together, and all channels of military, diplomatic, and silent undercover channels must be utilized to immediately restrain Houthis from such offensive actions, which can lead to a escalation of war beyond the Middle East and other parts of the world. Over to you with that.
Yes, Commodore Devan, come in here on your take on, of course, this warning, how seriously it should be heeded, or taken by the world at large.
One correction: I am Wing Commander Bhushan, Air Force veteran.
Oh, we're going to have to correct that, because your designation also is Commander Indian Navy, but that is completely wrong. Wing Commander Bhushan Devan, thank you for being with us again, and corrections, go ahead.
And this Cape of Africa is a complex situation that you got Eritreans, you got Ethiopians there, Somali pirates, you got the Yemenis controlling one side of the creek that goes through, and there's a very narrow space, and about 15% of the world trade passes through this. And the Houthis have been known fully for a long time to be against the Saudi Arabians, against the Americans, against the Israelis, and because they've been targeting all this with the concept that Israel has to be destroyed. And whoever supports Israel is their enemy. Besides, Americans have attacked Yemen before, and the Yemenis government actually operates from Saudi Arabia. The original government of Yemen is operated from Saudi Arabia. And the Yemenis and the Houthis have attacked even Saudi establishments. So they are not a very reasonable kind of guys. I'm not sure whether they're going to heed and see where exactly it goes, but it's better that they understand that the world is going to be reacting very hard if they do not stop the tactics, because if a ship has to divert to the Cape of Good Hope, it takes 10 days more and about $1 million for a reasonably sized ship. So which affects the international trade by the cost, the inflation, the delays in supplies reaching, the link that goes from Europe to Asia goes through the Suez Canal and the Red Sea. And if the trade has to move on from this direction there, at some point I think the world has to take a serious note. And the Houthis, for all what they're doing, trouble like hitting and running or doing something like that, cannot last for a long time. And I guess it's also an indication for them that they're trying to divert the attention of the world or the attention of Americans from Gaza and Israel toward this area, so that in a way, indirectly showing support to the Palestinians, to the Hamas, to Iran, And Iran is known to be the proxy war that they're engaging through the Houthis and Hezbollah. So this is a complex situation where the Houthis are no match if really some serious action started with the grouping that has taken place under the United Nations initiative and kind of firepower that the nations can bring on them. I think it's time that they will probably be given enough notice to stop this, what they're doing. More of a mischief today, but it can become a bigger issue if Iran joins. But Iran too will be thinking twice before it does, because Iran entering, the Americans counterattacking would be disastrous for Iran. So my feeling is it is going to some point of time, they're going to realize the mistake and stop this action.
Yes. Let me also now get you in, Ambassador Mukherjee, on how, India should be viewing these developments. Obviously, Indian vessel also has been targeted. We have seen a drone attack also yesterday, although we don't know, of course, whether that's the Houthis or whether that is someone else, because there's no proof as yet on who attacked that vessel, which of course also was on its way to India. There are allegations which are flying on that too over the last 48 hours. But how should India be viewing these developments that have been occurring in the last few weeks, and also now this warning which has come out?
India views these developments with great concern, first of all because if this continues for a while, it will have a direct economic impact on us. It will result in inflationary tendencies, which we have controlled so well during the height of the Russia-Ukraine conflict. So that's the first issue of major worry for us. Therefore, India would welcome all measures to bring the Houthis under control and to stop this conflict. For that, if force has to be used, I am sure that India would accept that to stop these unprovoked attacks on unarmed vessels, on international shipping lanes. If force has to be used, force will be used. After all, it is against the UN Charter. What the Houthis are doing is against the UN Charter. And the Security Council is paralyzed. Otherwise, action can be taken under the UN Charter because it is a threat to international peace and security. But since the Russians would veto, and maybe the Chinese, I'm not sure, it would not be possible for the Security Council to send a force. But certainly the alliance that has been built up under American leadership is more than capable of bringing down the Houthis. And I would agree with my previous panelists that Iran would be very circumspect into being drawn in directly, because Iran has conducted and continues to conduct proxy wars with the Houthis, using the Houthis and using the Hezbollah. And it also uses these proxy forces to try to trouble the Saudis and the United Arab Emirates, whom they see as shifting the geopolitical balance in this very vital part of the world. So I am sure that we would support measures to bring the situation under control. And we are already directly seeing drone attacks near our exclusive economic zone. We are seeing drone attacks in areas, in our coastal areas. And if it continues, then the Indian Navy at some point will have to take countermeasures to shoot down such drones. I'm sure the Indian Navy has already been drawn in, and I'm sure that our maritime forces, our Navy, those who look after our coast, the Coast Guard, etc., are on full alert against such drone attacks. There are the last one you said, I agree with you. We don't exactly know where it originated. There are two theories about where it originated. I would prefer to have proof before I say anything. But whatever it is the first time that such a drone attack has happened. It's a matter of a deep concern to us, because it directly impacts the security of our shipping. And as a country that imports a huge amount of oil and natural gas, naturally it is of great concern to us. We will support all measures to bring the situation under control.
Yes, let me quickly join Captain Kumar for the Indian perspective as well. Captain Sham Kumar, how concerning is this for India in particular? How should India be reacting to this warning, also reacting to these attacks? Is there a shift in strategy which has already happened, or should it be in the offing?
Indian strategy has been very, very clear as far as the Indian Oceanic regions is concerned. We are the big brother in this area, and as well as we have been supporting the anti-piracy operations in the African coast, in the Somalian coast, Horn of Africa, and in the Southeast Asia, that is Malacca Strait. Because these are the choke points of the world, and as we know, those who command choke points or those who can disturb the choke points, they can get away with this kind of nuisance. So the Indian naval ships, as I have been a warship captain, have been patrolling in these areas, and the areas of 9-degree channel going south of India, below Sri Lanka, through the Malacca Strait, as well as to the African coast. These areas have been constantly under surveillance by our P8I. Earlier we had Tu-4142, the IL-38 surveillance long-range maritime reconnaissance aircraft, which keeps the maritime domain awareness of the entire Indian Ocean at our home, and we update it on a regular basis. And our war rooms are keeping a track of everything which is happening in the Indian Ocean. Now, it is very difficult to say everything because the exclusive economic zone, and since the Indian Oceanic region, African coast, Madagascar to the southeast Malacca, we are talking about this area. Obviously, it is very vast. And naval resources, including the Coast Guard and the intelligence from merchant ships, satellite, etc., we try to dovetail all this together. Indian Futures Center at Gurgaon, near New Delhi, which is looking after the Indian Ocean region, which has the 40 international liaison officers, those who are sharing intelligence in this regard, and this is working very fine. We have clear connections as Nav Area Warners of Nav Area 8, which is the Arabian Sea and Indian Ocean, which is coordinated by India. We keep the meteorological warning and safety, security, freedom of navigation, anti-poaching, anti-smuggling, contraband items, etc. I must bring out this clear law regarding this. Houthi is not a non-state actor. It is not a declaring a belligerent nation war against anyone. So it has got no reason to carry out attacks on any neutral shipping. And even if in case of United Nations UNCLOS, which is very clear about these regulations of 1982, which says that you have to decide, you have to declare the blockaded, you have to clearly clarify that ships have to move from that area. Houthi is no one to do this. So United Nations is in correct place to carry out some kind of restraint actions on Houthi. Indian response would be very clear. Our 2 destroyer aircraft is continuously doing the surveillance.
Absolutely,
so
absolutely. Wing Commander Dewan, I'm running out of time. I have to give you a quick last word, and then I'll end. Wing Commander Dewan. Okay, I think we've lost him, unfortunately. All right, well, let's close on that note. My thanks to all of our guests for joining us on this discussion.
For more such videos, subscribe to the NewsX YouTube channel, hit the bell icon.